Well, g'day, Glenn here from the Happy Cow Milk Company. I just wanted to make a couple of videos just explaining what's going on behind some of these stories we're reading in the paper. Today I've seen bobby calves, I've seen stories on feedlots, and I've seen cows in mud. And not a lot of people are quite understanding the underlying facts and what's going on. So hopefully I can explain it. I don't want to persuade anyone what's right and what's wrong. I just want to give you the facts and you can decide from both sides what's important to you. So let's talk about bobby calves. So a cow needs to have a calf every single year in order to produce milk. So the question becomes, what happens to that calf? And we've got two issues really. Are we able to remove that calf from its mother, or should we leave the calf with its mother? And the second thing, is it okay to slaughter a calf at 4 days of age or 2 years of age? So we'll explore those. So this here is a video of one of my calves from last year, and he is 1 day old, and as you can see he's a little bit wobbly on his feet as he's going to run after mum. So there he goes. Now this here is a conventional cow shed. I've just taken this off the internet, and as you can see there's a holding yard and all the cows are waiting in the yard. Now if that little calf had followed its mum into the cow shed, it would probably get squashed in there, and that's not a very good story. This here is a standard dairy farm, and as you can see the cows are walking from the paddock to the cow shed. So we can't really expect the calf to walk that 1, 2 or 3 kilometres to the cow shed and back again twice a day, because, well, he would get tired and he probably wouldn't go, and then mum wouldn't want to follow and all those sorts of things. So there's actually very good practical reasons why farmers don't keep their calves with their mothers. So instead, when calves are born, they'll go and pick the calves up and bring them to the calf shed, and then they'll feed them by hand and with calf feeders and things like that. We, on the other hand, developed an entire new system. We had a mobile cow shed, and we left the calves with their mothers, and we brought the cow shed to the paddock. So our cows weren't walking anywhere, and our calves weren't walking anywhere. And actually, from our perspective, it was really, really simple, because a cow calves, we just tag it and then we forget about it basically, because mum looks after it. I think there's a heck of a lot of work on a conventional dairy farm where people picking up calves, sorting out cows, feeding calves, and so on. So people say to me, oh man, how do you do calving? Well, calving's really simple. So that's one of the advantages of just leaving the calves with their mothers, but you have to have an alternative system. So I'm pretty much the only one who has a mobile cow shed in New Zealand, and if you went to a dairy farmer who's just built this cow shed here, that's about a $1.5 million cow shed, and if you said, well, you should probably get rid of that cow shed and buy a mobile cow shed so you can keep your calves with their mothers, he's probably not going to be very receptive to that idea. We're a little bit different at Happy Cow, but what we're really talking about here is the psychological issues. I mean, the calves that get separated from their mothers are going to be well fed and looked after. Mum's going to be well fed and looked after. It's really, what's the right thing to do? What's the ethical thing to do? And for us, we're here for people who believe that it's the right thing to leave them calves with their mothers. Other people probably don't mind that much. It's really up to customers to choose what they prefer. Now, there's research around the well-being of animals, and what they've found, and we'll go into this later date, but you get cows that have stayed with their mothers are more, I suppose, half or glass half full or glass half empty, more pessimistic or more optimistic cows. And what they're finding is the animals that stay with their mothers are just more well adjusted and more balanced, I suppose, optimistic animals. So really it comes up to you have to decide whether that's important to you or not. So the second thing is it okay to slaughter an animal at 4 days of age? So our calves will stay with their mums for about 10 to 15 weeks, at which stage we'll separate them from their mothers. They don't need milk anymore at that stage. They're pretty much all eating grass, and we normally sell them to a beef farmer, and they'll go on to become beef at 2 years of age. Calves that are separated from their mothers and then go on the bobby truck will be slaughtered at about 4 days of age. So what you've got to decide is there a difference is one better than the other, or the fact that both are becoming beef doesn't matter, and different people have different thoughts on that. So I think everyone could probably understand that you can't keep all the calves. You know, if you've got 100 dairy cows and you kept all the calves, next thing you know you'd have 500 bulls and you'd have a very inefficient dairy farm. So you can see why people have to do something with these calves. So that is my quick rundown on the issues around separating calves and leaving them with their mothers. Basically what we're saying, if you want to leave calves with their mothers, you need a whole new system. And if you've got 11,500 dairy farmers in New Zealand and one mobile cow shed, I don't think we're going to see the dairy industry changing very much, or changing their attitude towards removing calves. But if it's important to you, Happy Cow Milk will be up and running shortly, and hopefully we'll have a national footprint. We'll have Happy Cow Milk farmers all around the country that you can get milk from happy cows and their happy calves. So if you've got any questions, please send me an email, glenn@happycowmilk.co.nz, or message me. Happy to answer any questions. Cheers.